As it's Spencer Freeman on FI going up against Jacob Baugh on Dash. We saw Dash go crazy, and let's just say that Jacob is really thinking that this matchup for him is probably his worst. As we saw how in the late game those 5-spot pistols are very devastating. But Spencer can get there before those items even hit the table.
Yeah, I can imagine that this would probably be, on paper, the worst matchup that you could possibly see. Because as Dash, you want to slow the game down. You want to play all your defense reactions. You play a bunch of larger defense reactions to stop big attacks. And you want to establish your items. Items, by the way, don't block. And if FI just comes at you with a bunch of damage and a bunch of pressure, and you draw into a card that doesn't block while you're struggling.
So the clock, again, is twofold here. There's the game clock, of course, but there's the clock that basically FI's going to be pushing down your throat the whole time, which is your life total, and that's going to tick away real fast as we start with, hey, 3, go again. That's basically the first chapter of most of these stories.
I believe that is a This Round's on Me that is currently in play for Jacob, which is going to make this turn a little bit more manageable because that break point of 4 is now pushed to 3, which is a single card block, and there's the Command and Conquer block. And look, wow, what a great time to have a This Round's on Me, because that's a 4 attack into a 4 attack that is actually not a Blazing Hedgehog. It's just a 3. Blazing Hedgehog, that's what we've coined it.
Have we?
Were you not here for that?
No, I missed that meeting.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay,
no,
we'll send
I was
it next time in a text or a carrier pigeon.
I was at the time. I was the keynote speaker at the Tan and Grace fan club meeting.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, and look at this. He's going to gain 3 life off the healing bomb we mentioned in stream. Wait a minute. No, he's not. He's going to gain 6 life because I also think he played a Sigil of Solace.
Well, gaining life is what Jacob's going to be doing. And again, we're talking about the fact that Jacob's list, we talked about it a couple rounds ago, how many defense reactions, how much life gain is actually in that list. The problem is that those are going to run out, and I don't think FI's going to care because it's like, all right, we're going to burn through all this defense in a few turns, but I'm still going to have plenty of pressure on your neck at the end of it. He's going for the jugular every single turn.
Yeah, we do have a card sleeve here attacking for 1. That card sleeve is a representative. It's a facsimile of the double strike. You're welcome. I just pulled that one right back out.
Dude, see, we're in such an educational stream
That's
here.
Right. Double strike coming for the one there. This one's coming for 2 here because of the Shuko.
Yeah, no, that makes sense over here again with no Mask of Momentum in this case, mainly because I don't think you're ever going to hit more than once here or 3 in a row, given the defensive stance that Jacob's going to be taking here. Again, the problem is Jacob needs to find things like Plasma Purifier and Induction Chamber real fast, and has to do so in a state where he can still develop, still defend against this onslaught that Spencer's presenting every single turn. Having the life gain to give you a little bit of extra cushion, a little more runway to find them, but at what point, how quickly does Jacob have to establish that board of items?
It's going to be very tough for him to both defend against attacks and establish items. Because the onslaught that we're seeing right here, it's for 1, it's for 1, it's for 1, it's for 1. This is, and there's a lava burst for the casual 5. And it could be a scenario right here where you give up a bunch of life that you've gained because you have to establish, and there's the block with the equipment as well, because you have to establish the item in play. And items don't block. If they get, like, your hand floods with items, then you're going to have to take a bunch of life just to establish them. It's going to be really tricky for him to do so, but the sooner he can do it, the more chance he has of pivoting a little bit into an aggressive stance. And it's going to take that aggressive stance to actually just be in this game.
So is fatigue a concern for Spencer in this matchup?
I don't think that you can. I think Spencer can push so much damage, has the capability of double stacking like Art of Wars perhaps, and just playing for this ridiculously large turn. I think he has way too much opportunity to just push all of that damage that I don't think fatigue can be played for. But I could be wrong, and we could be proven wrong by Jacob, who's sitting at 10-2 and is truly putting on a masterclass of how to play this control dash. I mean, being one of the only dashes to convert this far into the tournament.
Right now, the life totals are on Jacob at 41, above rate, frankly, as you basically start at 40. So what the hell, Jacob? How did you get that done?
Oh, and look, there's the first Art of War coming from the Arsenal. Going to be playing that down, choosing a couple of different modes. Now, Jacob was able on that previous turn to establish a second induction chamber, which is a great thing to get first. Going to banish, draw 2, give +1 across the board to all of his attacks.
He banished the Flame Call Awaken. There is another Flame Call Awakening in hand. We see what else that was drawn up here.
Rise from the Ashes Red. This is going to add +3. It's also going to fetch a Phoenix Flame from the graveyard, of which there are 2 in the graveyard. So this is a great play alongside of the Art of War.
So Art of War is giving +1 to all attack action cards, as well as he chose to banish and draw 2. So this is, like you said, this is the foundation of what these big turns should look like.
Yeah, and this starting with 7, Rising Resentment for 7. This is maybe like the one of the few times where it's actually like, oh, sweet, I have an unmovable. I could actually block out all 7, which I would imagine Jacob probably pulled out of the deck for the most part, if not all the way. But Rising Resentment is a threatening attack in and of itself, but pushing for 7 is just nutty.
So hitting these breakpoints, again, there's going to be a lot of 4 blocks, given the fact that there's 3 Fate Foreseens, there's 3 Sync Belows. You also have the 3-block D-Reacts, such as, That All You Got. But you're going to be looking at a certain point here where even these big attacks are not going to convert enough. But Spencer knows that this isn't necessarily a sprint. As fast as Fi can go, you got to think that he's got a marathon approach here to continue the pressure, not to get discouraged that, you know, you have an Art of War turn, you have this massive turn, and even if you just convert, let's say, 6 or 7 damage, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You got to get the equipment used up. You got to get some of those D-reacts out of circulation, and then it kind of opens the floodgates for more of that to pierce through.
Yeah, and really the way you do that is off of the back of these Art of War turns. You have 3 Art of Wars in the deck. You have to make all of them count. If you, I guess, use them too ambitiously or without too much thought, and then obviously on this turn, cracking the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx to go and get the Lava Burst that you want to finish with. If you don't use these correctly, you may not be able to close it out. But if you do, you may find a pretty easy matchup for you as Spencer.
So far, Jacob, who started the game practically by gaining 6 life, let's be real here, you know, the health total at 34 also means that Spencer did actually punch through for 12 already.
Yeah.
Jacob is usually locking things down, but you can be sure that this is not the first Fi matchup that Jacob has played against. However, he did say, Tannen came and said, I spoke to Jacob, and Jacob told me that this Fi matchup is probably the one I'm least comfortable with, the least confident in.
Yeah, and you can see why as he strings together this ridiculous string of attacks. He's going to go use Fi's ability and play this for 3. It is getting a buff from Art of War, and it is getting a buff from Shuko, so this pushes for 3 damage. And a little innocuous free attack, basically, just pushing 3 damage.
I like how there's one full art promo Phoenix Flame. You have the Marvel Phoenix Flame. I wonder if the other one is just a cash, old-school token Phoenix Flame.
It's probably ripped in half and then taped back together,
sure.
just to drive the point home. Lava Burst into Lava Burst off the Snapdragon Scalers, and that's the kind of turn that you want to do to really push this in your favor. I mean, that is a textbook Fi turn.
These are the turns in the board states that really put people onto fire really early. I saw screenshots, people posting on Twitter, on Facebook, on Reddit, and saying, look how wide I went. It went to the point where it's like, I remember playing in a casual tournament where I was playing alongside, next to me was Brian Basoko against another awesome player on Fi, and basically Brian Basoko was saying, all right, I got this in the bag. It was a Fi mirror. He said, I got this in the bag as long as he can't do 40 to me, and he did 40. And that was basically the end of the game. The combat chain was 2 lines deep in terms of how wide that bad boy went, but that's basically testament to say, hey, Fi still got it going on. I don't care how defensive your stature is here. We're going to punch through.
I just want to point out, Jacob just played a Sunkiss Red to gain 3 life. He runs exactly 1 copy of Sunkiss Red. I want to know, what is the maximum amount of life that he actually can gain from this deck? I'm going to count that, And I will report back to you the number that I reach if I count correctly.
Okay, so while Stephen Cookis busts out the abacus and contacts NASA to compute these very complex numbers and variables, I'm still here with you, people. Okay, Flake doesn't abandon you. Flake's got your back. Flake rides shotgun on the journey of life. All right,
It's
so
not a very nice thing. I mean, I'm still literally sitting right next to you.
he is gone. This is a recording that Steven has left us. Much like, what was that movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Yeah, I know how you pull this stuff off, dude.
Hey, do you know how that really popular song goes from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? You know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, you know what? Caddyshack was on TV like 2 days ago, and now all I have in my head is, I'm all right. Nobody blocking this attack. Anyway.
And that right there is exactly what Flake does in karaoke.
Hey, there's a Phoenix Flame. That's going to come in.
Oh, nice.
All right. So, again, relentless with the attack, but Jacob Baugh has so much defensive options here, like that one right there. That all you got. That is my reveal card. And the benefit of that is if you're blocking something with base attack 2 or less, you're going to peel a card off the top of your deck and replenish. So that's good defense. It's good to keep the resources going. And, hey, let's just keep blocking. Is that zipper hit, if I'm not mistaken?
28 life. He can gain 28 life with this deck. I just want to share that with you, everybody, just at home.
I'd like to thank Oxford's math department for sponsoring this segment. Thank you very much.
I would have counted that quicker had I not been distracted and regaled by the wonderful singing of one Matt DeMarco to my left.
How dare you?
Unfortunately, I got distracted because it was just that good. He could technically remembrance in more life gain. That's crazy. But that's also incredibly cool and might be one of the ways that he keeps himself in this game. I mean, look at his life total right now. He's sitting at 27.
He's sitting at 27, but also gained, what, 9 by now?
Right, and that may be his ticket through this matchup. And maybe Fatigue, because you can gain 27 life, maybe Fatigue is the play for Jacob. I mean, this really is a deck list that he has crafted. It is similar to some of the old kind of crew ideas where you could play for this pistol endgame, but I don't think anyone has ever taken it into this hard control stance. And if they have, I have not seen it before, because this hard of a control stance is quite literally the most controlling you can probably do, and the most life gain you can probably do.
Okay, so are you counting Heart of Fyendal once or multiple times?
One time.
Okay.
I will only count Heart of Fyendal one time, but technically you could gain more life. Infinite life if you pitched it every turn. Blocking with a Spark of Genius on the Belittle here.
And again, Spencer has to just make sure that he doesn't get tilted in these cases of just being constantly shut out of these massive turns. He did connect. Again, you bust out that Snapdragon Scalers, you use your Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, you want to make sure that you're actually getting value for it, which is what has happened. But now you don't have those options. You don't have those utilities to help connect for extra damage. And Jacob's got to think, okay, things are going to probably still be, heated, but those are two major aspects that I'd no longer have to worry about.
And I think Spencer's doing the right thing here. He has an Art of War in hand. In fact, it's a white-bordered Art of War, and he's choosing not to play it on this turn. What he's going to do, most likely, is just set this up in the arsenal, play for a 5-card hand, one that allows him to go fetch a few Phoenix Flames based on what he could draw in. Honestly, I thought he might even consider just keeping the Spreading Flames and presenting just innocuous damage this turn, but instead, he did use that Spreading Flames, and because you don't have the Pouncing Lynx anymore, and because you don't have your boots anymore, your damage output is nerfed a little bit by by the fact that you can't go and fetch those things and give go again as readily. So you do have to be much more judicious here, like he is doing.
So in this case, Spencer just presented all the attack action cards, the go-agains, and what actually connected was the free stuff, the Phoenix Flame and the weapon. So if that's the case here, if it's present, attack, 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 buy your hand out for blocks, and then we sneak in the Phoenix Flame, and then we sneak in the Ember Blade, that can get the job done. The difference in stories here is that when we saw Jacob a couple rounds ago playing against the Oldham, Jacob had 3 Purifiers, 2 Induction Chambers on the board. It was actually quite early in the game where he had the two purifiers, the two induction chambers, he was able to actually get a lot of work done early on to start shifting pressure back. In this case, he's not finding it. He's blocking a lot, which is the way to go. You can see the deck list. That's basically the nature of what he's trying to present here. But he's probably just hoping that he can get an opportunity to drop one of these counterplays.
And what he's really hoping right now is that he didn't draw into a handful of items, because this may just be the turn that Art of War gets played at instant speed here off of the Tunic resource, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Art of War is going to give +1 to the board, and he's going to most likely choose Banish, draw 2, and that's what he does. And this is the kind of turn he was playing for. He presented the damage last turn, and now that simple block of the double strike with the one piece of equipment is now pushing damage through. Everything else after this can push damage through as well. This is going to be a big turn.
If his hand is just completely gooned by items, then yeah, this might be lights out. We're going to get some clues in here in terms of what is being sent. He did throw the Furnace in front of that first attack. Here's a 4-attack brand with Cinderclaw yellow.
And this is getting a buff from both Shuko and from the Art of War as well. So the Fate Foreseen is going to cover this. Very lucky that he has the Fate Foreseen to try and prevent some of this damage.
We're going to see this life total just start to evaporate, despite the fact that, like you said, just on the books, a possible 28 life gain off just on paper here. He's already gained, I believe, 9 life in this game. So, you know, there it is, but it's starting to tick down. Spencer Freeman is relentless with these attacks. He's found an opening. The equipment is starting to falter. It's getting chipped away slowly, and now that window, that solid door has just cracked open a little bit, and Spencer's starting to just jam his foot in it.
Yeah, there's the Phoenix Flame being recalled and then played for another 2. Yeah, this is just a lot of damage, and it's going to be very difficult for Jacob to block all of this if the rest of his hand is full of items.
That is the Marvel Phoenix Flame, and again, it seems like the Ember Blade coming in for 3 gets stuffed as well.
Looks like he is comfortable enough to be able to block this out. The other card did look like it was a card to block. It is a throttle. He's going to block that as well. So he is able to preserve a good amount of his life on the second Art of War turn. The question becomes, if Art of War is found quickly, as a third follow-up, the third copy of Art of War comes down, can he survive that turn?
Jacob only has the option to draw up, pass over, and Spencer Freeman gets another kick at the can. No Arsenal this time, but it's fine. We're going to start with a Ronin Renegade. 3, go again. That's going to get blocked by This Round's on Me. But again, we've seen this song and dance before. He knows the moves. He knows the tune. 3, go again. One more time. Jacob stuffs that one with the Sift.
Here comes the In Flame, which is going to recall a Phoenix Flame, and this is allowing you to basically recall 2 Phoenix Flames on the turn, because you're doing one with In Flame and you're going to return the other one off of Phi's ability. So you are basically playing, in essence, a 6-card hand when you consider it from that perspective.
In reality, these small attacks are what getting the work done.
Yeah.
The 3 attacks are the ones that are eating cards. Those are never connecting. The ones are the ones, the 1 attacks are those that Jacob has to be considerate about, because those are the ones that are chipping away slowly. You don't have something like Rampart of the Ram's Head. You don't have these small little recurring blocks that you might. Let's say you had Phantasmal Footsteps. You can just go ahead and chuck that in there, sure, no problem. But the difference here is this is what's getting the work done. It's not the big boisterous attacks necessarily. It's the small ones that sneak between the shadows.
And Jacobs is really wanting to gain more life here, wanting to be able to keep cards in hand, wanting to be able to put on some amount of counter pressure, but the pressure's not going to let up from Spencer. Phi is not going to take the foot off the gas unless they find an Art of War with an awkward hand that they want to arsenal. Otherwise, it's literally just going to be all the way pushing damage until your opponent dies.
So right now the players are just confirming life totals, and at this juncture of the game, it's very important for Jacob to understand what's getting let through, what the capability is. And we always talk about how important it is, obviously, to know your deck and the capabilities and how to play your deck inside out, but also knowing the capabilities of your opponent's deck really factors in, because if you don't know how their deck operates, you don't know what to block, you don't know how much runway they have to actually play with. So you need to know where their reach can extend to. So, preserving cards, knowing what's likely coming off the top after this, after that. And again, here's another just small little one attack that's going to tickle away some of that health total.
Yeah, this is I don't want to say it's spelling the beginning of the end, but once you drop to 10 life against like a FAB, this single-digit life totals as well, just starts to feel like things are closing out, and that's what you want to see. You want to see things that allow you to gain more life, playing a Sigil of Solace there to get a little bit back in the game. You don't want to be at a low life total because you can be pressured in so many different ways by Spencer.
That's 12 health gain, if I'm not mistaken. Life total plus 12 for Jacob, so he would have been at 1 without a little help from the life gain fairy.
Yep, without a little help from his friends, the life gain cards. He gets by. All right, so we have the Rise from the Ashes, recalling the Phoenix Flame, which, again, allows you to basically play a 5-card hand, or in this case, a 6-card, because he does have an arsenal. It's also going to buff up his next attack by +3, and that attack is going to come for 6. Brand with Cinderclaw.
Again, a digestible number. It's a 2-card. It's a 2-card block for 3, which you can see Jacob's just already ready to throw down on that. It's the 4s, the 7s. That's the nasty numbers. But again, it's the 1s and the 2s that can become very much a nuisance as well.
Yeah, and still not finding many of the items. But I bet you in this matchup, Jacob most likely just sides out the items and tries to keep his hands at maximum block range, and just hopes that the FAB does not put together giant Art of War turns that he just can't deal with, and then start to string together something there at the end. That's probably the game plan here going forward.
At any rate here, is Spencer going to be counting his deck and just wondering, hey, I'm at 20, I'm at 15, I'm at wherever I'm at? Because it seems like every single turn he's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Jacob.
It's a very real possibility that that's the end game that Jacob is really hoping for.
Hey, give credit to Spencer here. There's been so many turns where it's not just been a solo Phoenix Flame. He's brought in the twin brother the whole way.
Yep.
And a 4-point snatch over here to just get stuffed by a Fate Foreseen. But, I mean,
perfect.
Spencer has to know that there's just tons of these.
Yeah, and there's the other life gain card popping in, the Fjendal's Fighting Spirit to gain a life here in that moment. So maintaining that life total is the name of the game from Jacob's side of things based on the way that this deck is functioning. We've had such, I just want to say, we've had such interesting deck lists being presented here on stream these past 2 days. Things that people are iterating on that just are not expected going into this tournament.
Yeah, if you thought you had a read on what the meta was or who's going to win, I mean, let's get real. There's going to be favorites for sure. But what you're talking about is, okay, I know what the best deck is. No, you don't. You know what the best deck is last week. That's what you know.
Oh, my goodness. And we have the third Art of War, and it's combined again with the double strike. I believe this has happened at least for the past 2 Art of Wars. It might have been every single Art of War has also been combined with double strike on this game. So getting maximum value off of the double strikes in this deck, being able to buff up both facsimiles of the attack. You're welcome. I'm going to keep it rolling.
I was going to say, are you sure? You have so much mileage on that word now. It needs an oil change,
that's
dude.
That's true. It does.
Yeah.
Notice that this one comes for 3 because Shuko is applying a buff, and that he played around that earlier by putting in a 3 attack that got buffed to 4 or a 2 attack that got buffed to 4. But here he's just going to go 2, then 4, then who knows what else after that.
Now, is Spencer here just finding the right recipe for every Art of War turn that he's had, or has he been patient with them? Like, at what point do you know that that given the fact that you know your opponent is just this stone wall that you got to bust through, do you hold your Art of Wars for the perfect time? Like, do you have to be patient, or do you just fire them off as soon as you get them?
Well, we know he set the second one up. The second one that he played was completely set up by him. This one he just drew into and kind of fired off immediately from what we could tell. It was not a 5-card hand setup as far as the Art of War portion. I think he just drew into it. But making use of them and maximizing their value is what he's doing, and it's probably why he's sitting so highly at 10-2.
30-4. Jacob Baugh, who basically, let's get real here, his whole deck is meant to just slam the door. A carry price shutout is what he's pitching every single time. Unfortunately for him here, there's a Fyendale's Fighting Spirit to block 2, gain 1. All right, up he goes. I think has he gained 13 life this game?
Well, I believe so. And here comes Assault the Wound. Assault the Wound is literally only going to get a buff by the first, I mean, maybe two attacks that have hit. but it is still getting buffed also by that Art of War. So it's a casual lethal, and he is going to present 3 to block 3 and drop down to the very precarious life total of, I believe he's sitting at 2.
Fighting Spirit blocks for 2, if I'm not mistaken.
It does.
So
I think he threw in a zipper hit as a block there and drops to 2, right?
There he goes. All right, 2 it is. 30-2. Spencer, again, just never relenting on this pressure, constantly throwing everything. I see a belittle in hand, a snatch. Do you have something to connect with the belittle?
You've got, as far as your equipment is concerned, all you have left from Jacob's side that can block are some Ironhide legs. And so any break points of 4 at this point are basically just threatening lethal. And you also have to start being aware, if you think Spencer's running like, I don't know, a Razor Reflex as well, you may want to watch out for that. But you might not be able to play around it anymore.
All right, 3 blocks 3. You're just going to have to match pound for pound here. Efficiency is the name of the game, but a Blaze, what do you call it?
Blazing Hedgehog, I believe, is the coin, the term coined. And look at that, he has the 3rd Fate Foreseen. Blazing Hedgehog.
3 coming through. Again, gets eaten up by another 3 block as well, and we can probably suspect that it's Phoenix Flame time. You can go ahead and recur that. Basically, oh, no, never mind. There's only 2 Draconic chain links here, so that's going to cost, but we're going to finish this up with a snatch. Patience here is fine. Again, if you're buying cards out of the hand, that's good enough. You set up for the next wave.
And look at this. That is going to lead to a card draw. But strangely enough, he already has the card in Arsenal, so this basically just acts as card draw that was going to happen anyway.
Well, he did sneak through for 1. Look at that life total. It's 30-1.
Yeah, and this is not a matchup where the life total disparity ends up, quote-unquote, mattering. But, oh, my God, on this turn he drew into a Heart of Fiendal, a card that does not block. And right now he's just praying. Jacob is just praying that he bricks on drawing into a hand with attacks. Maybe somehow.
I mean, there is an outlet here where you could pitch the Fiendal, the Heart of Fiendal to activate the boots. So there is a technical 3 block available.
And he did have a sigil. Look at this. He does have a sigil, and there's a blue that's coming across.
Stop it, Jacob. Stop it. This is unfair for Spencer, who's done so much work here. But either way, we're gaining, I think he's up to possibly 16 health gain right now.
There's another one.
Let's call it 17.
Yeah, it just goes up and down and up and down.
All right, so Jacob, who started the turn at 1 life, is at 4 despite being on defense. Hey, we don't make the rules, friends. But either way, 3 is the attack by the Searing Emberblade. That's another Draconic Chain Link with Go again. Go wide is the name of the game here for Spencer. He's going to punch through at some juncture, but Jacob has to be very efficient with these blocks.
Well, I do want to point this out. This could be, and I think he's going to end with the old Hedgehog. Maybe whatever's in the arsenal as well. There's the Hedgehog. He had 2. The Hedgehog comes across for 4, and this will ask for a card from Jacob, maybe both cards from Jacob. But this could be an opportunity for him to turn the corner. There's going to be, I think, exactly the play you mentioned. The boots, possibly plus a pitch.
He's thinking about it. What else is there? If that last, no, there's 2 cards in hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One of them is the heart. So we're going to gain 1 here to activate the boots, which is an effective full block here, gaining another 2 life. Okay, sure, why not? So let's just evaluate this here. Spencer started the turn 30-1, presented about 5 or 6 attacks, and Jacob ended the turn with 4 extra health. What the hell? Up is down, left is right, cats are dogs. What the hell's going on?
So the crazy thing about this, too, is if the decks have cycled, and I believe they have at this point, if the decks have cycled, it's a very real possibility that Spencer starts drawing blue hands. And if he starts drawing blue hands and presenting 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage, he may still get there. But if he doesn't close it out soon and just starts drawing into blue hands, Jacob may have an outlet where he could maybe get away.
Another gain of life, up to 6 now. I'm done counting how much he's gained. I think he's up to like 19 health gain right now.
Yeah, anybody in the chat that would like to go in and count the amount of life gained by Jacob here would be the real MVP.
3 attack off this Searing Emberblade gets stuffed, and again, when you're doing sort of that keeping track of what's going on, you know, you said threat density. I love that term, and Jacob is saying, all right, 3 Art of Wars, down the toilet. I don't have to worry about those big explosive turns anymore. Obviously, Fi has plenty of options to just go wide and get nasty. But ultimately, off the back of something like Art of War, that is no longer an issue here. And it seems like Jacob has really weathered the storm.
Salt the Wound, only pushing 4, leaving Jacob to 1. He has no way, no recourse of blocking here. He goes to 1. There were no tricks, there were no life gain moves there at the end. Sitting at 1, but not at 0. So he's got what we say, a chip, a chair, and a prayer.
Spencer's been riding this bus and trying to get off at the stop, and it just keeps circling back to 1, and he just keeps missing his bus stop to just finish this out. But Jacob just continues to be resilient in this matchup. The life gain has been incalculable because I can only count to 10, so that's why we call it. In Canada, we stop at 10.
So we have the Soaring Strike pushing the break point, and this might seal the deal. Being at 1 means, oh no, he just has the sink below. Just kidding. He's got a 4 block there. But the deck is running thin as well. For Jacob. There's the push for 1.
These are the awkward ones that we're talking about. It's not the 3s and 4s necessarily that are going to be nasty. It's going to be the ones that really tickle the wrong way, and a Searing Ember Blade for 3.
He covers it with your spoiler card. That all you got, he says? No, that's not all he has.
Deuces, do you have one more attack?
And that's
Dunzo!
going to do it. He closes out the game.